Welcome to the Rising Consciousness Show, 20 minutes of soulful insights and powerful tools to elevate your life experience and create with higher clarity, intention, and vision. I'm Tara Antler, intuitive healer and soul coach.
And I'm King Gabriel, spiritual teacher and practitioner. And we are the co-founders of Ascension Academy of Life,
a global center for spiritual growth, intuitive healing, and soul alignment.
Get ready to blast off.
Radiant beings, welcome back to the Rising Consciousness Show. I'm so excited to reconnect with you. Feels like it's been a hot minute, although I am live everywhere these days. I'm live on Facebook, I'm live on Substack. If you haven't yet been following the journey over there, I'll post the link in the show notes. Be sure to go follow along on Substack because I'm doing something very special over there. I'm doing a live reading and journey of the Healing Manual, which is a book that I wrote back in 2013 that was based off of work that I had been doing with clients from when I began back in 2002. And I wrote this book in 5 days. It got channeled through. I was sitting on a houseboat in Northern Ontario at my parents' lodge, and this book flew through me. And it was powerful and it was potent. And when I thought about a healing manual, when Creator said, this is what you're going to write as a healing manual, I thought, you're nuts. I'm like, all I could think about was a healing manual was this big monster book, like a DSW manual in psychology. And they said, no, it's going to be very simplified. It's going to be a short book, a short read to help people to simplify healing, a guide to simplified healing. So if you want to take the journey with me over there on Substack, there's a subscription level to come and take that journey where we're going through the book together, and I'm revealing new material that I'm adding into the audiobook, because as I'm doing this, I realized I need to do an audiobook version. And so that's coming. It's underway. I was literally just recording half an hour of the book. It takes a lot longer to record an audiobook than you'd think too, which is like mind-blowing. All that to say, I will post the Substack, and I would love for you to come and join me over there, because it's a really powerful experience that I'm even having as I'm rereading this. And what's so interesting that I want to bring forward here for you today is that there are these seasons and cycles and returns that we make on our life as humanity, even in our own healing and transformation journey. And as I'm going through the book again, as I'm reading it and I'm looking at the pages and I'm rereading some of the testimonials and the stories from my clients back then, I'm in this state of awe and wow and holy cow, because all of it is still relevant to this day. None of it has gone obsolete. It's still all relevant to this day, which is so wonderful for me as a practitioner, because, there's certain things in the rest of life where, you look at technology, how fast do our phones become obsolete? How fast does certain tech or your browser becomes obsolete? And you have to update it all the time. And there's always changes and tweaks being made. So it causes you to kind of spin around in circles and be like, oh my God, like everything's changing. Financial systems are changing. Worldly structures are changing. Everything's changing right now in the world. Everything is like just up and upheaval. And when I read this book, it's so nourishing and so grounding and like a breath of fresh air, because it is consistent. There's not a whole lot as I'm reading through it, other than a few words like COLD, which is not a part of my vocabulary anymore or my consciousness. I took that out a long time ago. And other than that, everything else is consistent. So it's so refreshing to me that there can be these experiences in our life that are stable, that are consistent, that are tried, true, tested, that are like just a breath of fresh air to know, okay, while the rest of the world is in uproar or changing, or systems are falling and everything's going haywire, and we're being upgraded at left, right, and center on every other level, that we can come back to some sense of groundedness and stability, root chakra energy, and know that there are some things that were relevant back in 2013 that are still relevant today and that still work, And so that's so refreshing for me as a practitioner, because I think a lot of times in today's day and age, there's like, what's the new thing? What's the new modality? What's the new way? What's the shiny? What's the new object? What's the new way? And I always laugh, because even when it comes to sound healing, this is what we called it back in my day, was sound healing. Now I'm sure if you look even beyond that time period, the people that were doing drumming circles and all sorts of other incredible sound healing journeys, maybe they called it something else. And maybe when we came along, we said, we're going to call it sound healing journeys. They were like, eye roll, here we go. Next generation has their new lingo, which I had that experience of with the sound baths. Now sound healing journeys aren't called that so much anymore unless you're an OG from that time period. They're now called sound baths. And I love the name. I don't mind it at all. It makes me smile because it seems like the new next thing. But sound journeys and sound healing and drumming circles have been around forever. Like tribal energy and sound and making music together has been around forever. Think back to the African tribes where they'd sing the song to the baby. And then as the child would grow, if they got into trouble or if they fell off their spiritual alignment, they'd put them back in the circle and they'd sing the song to bring them back to who they are, their resonance and their truth. And so we've been doing certain things along the way that have been consistent. It's just in today's day and age, there's the new lingo. And that's all it is really. It's marketing and new lingo. And I was laughing even the other day as this relates because Arya, she was saying a sentence to me and I looked at her and said, I don't even know what you just said, because she said so much slang in one sentence and it's the new slang. And then Gabriel and I had a laugh and I said, you should document what the slang is that you're using now. And she said, well, what was your slang back in the day? And I said, we use words like gnarly and awesome and totally tubular, right? And we were both laughing and Gabriel was laughing. And I said, it's just, that's the changing, but it's all the same. And so I want to bring this back around full circle to the journey of healing, because I think sometimes we get lost in the thinking that there's something far out there that's so radically different, or something that we haven't yet tried that's going to be the thing that makes everything work. And yet, when I read this book and I come back to it, it brings me right back to the modalities that have always worked in over the 15,000 plus one-to-one sessions that I've facilitated. The same modalities still work today, 25 years later, as to when I first began. And so there are some things that are tried, true, and tested. There are some ways, some teachings, some practices. Maybe that's why so many people read the Bible or go back to ancient texts, because they've been around for a long time. We know that prayer works. We know that meditation is powerful. We know that coming together in prayer and meditation is powerful. If you haven't yet done the heart-opening meditation that I did on my birthday on Valentine's Day, I'll put the link to it as well. I think Facebook will keep it up for another couple weeks, and then they'll go through their 30-day purge of long-form content. And it's a really great meditation. I might even upload it here or find a way to share it with you all so that it's available. But it was a really powerful meditation. So there are certain things that we know work when we come together and meditate together, when we pray together. We change the field. We change the energy. And this is what we need to be doing more of, not less. We need to be doing more of the things that work, returning to more of the practices, the core teachings and healing modalities that work and that have worked over time, and stop searching for the next best thing that we think is going to be the thing that's going to heal all the things. It's coming back to the simplicity. This is what I have found over the 25 years as a practitioner, but also since I was 14 and even earlier than that, when I really started opening up to spirituality when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And it's coming back to the simplicity. It's coming back to core truths, to simplify everything and uncomplicate everything. And I think that's what we need now. We need to come back to some simple truths, because as things start to fall, as things start to change rapidly, we're going to search for maybe deeper meaning, but we're also going to search for help, and we're going to search for who do we turn to? Where do we turn? What do we trust? What don't we trust? Who is connected to what? What teachings or modalities were connected to what? And where is the truth? Where does that sit? And so this is where I'm going to encourage you to maybe return to some simple things that have always worked for you. Breathing, meditation, prayer, energy work, light modalities, light frequencies, coming back to things that have always existed, that have always been. Sound healing, singing, chanting, mantras. These are things that have been around for probably tens of thousands of years. So if we can come back to the simple, this is where I believe our way through this mess of what's going on in the world right now. will actually happen. We'll make it through. Will we make it through without any bruises or bumps? Probably not. Will we make it through and be able to still have a higher level of consciousness? Yes, I do believe we can, but it is going to require us to return to some simplicity and return to the basics and get ourselves in conscious circle right now. For real, if you do not have conscious circle, you need to have it. So wherever you get that from, whether it's leaning more in with us, whether it's somewhere else, but you got to get into some conscious circles now, because there's even more that's going to hit the fan. And it's easier to walk through things as a community than solo. It's easier to walk through things when you have some healing modalities or some tools that can actually help you move the energy instead of having it sit in your being, consciousness, or body. You will make it through much easier. But if you do this solo, or if you are flailing around looking for the next best thing or looking for the next, guru or something like that, well, we're probably going to repeat history. And I don't think any of us want that. This is the time when the gurus, that energy, it has to fall. We all know so much. Sometimes we're here simply to remind one another. That's what I loved so much about Reiki and energy healing, was that it's not that it was doing anything new or bringing in anything new. It was returning the light to a body or a consciousness that had forgotten. And it's like a little knock at the door. It's like, tap, tap, tap. Hello? Light within, are you there? Light within, I want to show you the light within you. Will you remember? And part of our consciousness goes, there's my light, there's my energy, there's that joy, there's that love. And we wake back up, and then things start to recalibrate, and then things start to spontaneously transform and heal. That's been the process of healing the whole way through. Now you get to choose what modalities help you remember, and there are many, 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 and this is what we're going through in the healing manual journey, which has been really fun. And it's simpler than you think. If a healing practice has 20 steps in order to heal something, it's probably not the way to go. If you have to, in a certain meditation, do 50 different things, or even 15 or 5 different things to have it work, it's a little too complicated. You're now getting into the heaviness of the mind instead of the truth of the divine, which is simple. And this is what we're returning to. So get excited. Get excited for what's to come. Get excited for where humanity's going. Not all is crazy and doom. This is an amazing time for us to be alive. This is an amazing time for us to return and reconnect and come together and remember and come back to the simplicity. So I'm going to invite you, I'm going to keep it short and sweet today. And I invite you to come back to your simplicity. Come back to some truths that have always worked. For me, Reiki, breathing, now they call it breath work, pranayama, meditation, prayer, being in nature. These are the simple things that have always worked for me. So these are the things that I'm going to continue to come back to. And if you want to take this healing journey with me, I'll put this Substack link below. You can upgrade to subscribe, and then you'll get the weekly live video, and you'll get to hear the new modalities and the new energy. Not even that they're new modalities, but the new work that's being brought forward in the healing manual, and just some new stories over the years since I published the book in 2013. And so it's a really beautiful journey. I'm so grateful for the people who have said yes to be on this journey with me. If you do choose to come in, make sure that you let me know. Send me a private message and let me know. I'll see you anyways. And I'm going to celebrate you and love you up, because this is a time where if we can empower ourselves, if we can heal, like I mentioned in November, December 2025, heal the one, heal all, which was a very powerful statement that I heard and learned from one of my mentors, Richard Hastings, over 25 years ago, that if we can ground into that as our motto, as our way of life, we really will heal this entire thing that's come to the surface. And even more is about to come. We will be able to heal it all. But you got to have conscious community around you. You got to have the right tools right now in your back pocket. And you have to align now with tools and teachings that are tried, true, tested, that are simple, and that someone has actually done the work and said, yes, like I've done this work, not just smoke and mirrors, not illusion. I think a lot of people followed illusion for a very long time. where people popped up out of nowhere with no tangible results and no tangible grounded work on the ground with the people in sessions doing the things that made a difference. So you have to start looking at that now. If you notice that somebody pops up out of nowhere and is an instantaneous success, question that. Question that. That's not how those things work. Okay? So all is falling, which is great. Just make sure you have conscious community around you. Take a deep breath. Connect to Creator. Come back to the simple tools that work. And let's heal. Let's heal the one and heal all. Okay? You got this. Thank you so much for joining us today on another episode of the Rising Consciousness Show. For more high vibration conversations, meditations, energy activations, and tips and tools on creating your most exceptional life, we lovingly invite you to connect with us at academyoflight.ca. The website is www.academyoflight.ca. It is time to create your heaven on earth experience, and we look forward to sharing this beautiful journey with you.
You're listening to Rising Consciousness. Yeah.
Woo!
Woo!